we do welcome you to the C&C Auto Show. We have a really exciting show today. Taylor Bryant is our co-host today. I always love it when Taylor comes, just filled with knowledge, and willing to share that knowledge with everyone. And I've mentioned before that Taylor's an automotive instructor at Augusta Technical College. He writes articles for the Augusta Press, and he puts on some great YouTube videos. I think more how to do certain thing videos. Right. Taylor, what's your latest video?
Let's see. I've taken a little bit of a break because I've been working on a couple of other things, but the latest video I had was on the Chevy Volt. I was doing some work on it, and I had just posted that. And I've got a couple of videos coming out on resetting some service lights and oil change lights and things like that on some other vehicles. So we've got some things in the works, and we're currently building a 289 Ford engine, and we're going to have some content on that as well.
Oh, wow.
So
tell us one time how to get to your videos in case anybody's looking for those.
Just YouTube. It's Auto Scholar with Mr. B.
All right.
And no telling what you're going to find there. So.
All right. Well, if you want to see some great videos, tune in to Mr.
Auto Scholar with Mr. B.
Auto Scholar Mr. B. Okay, during today's show, you can benefit from Taylor Bryant's expertise by calling in and asking us your car questions, and we are open for calls today. We're sitting on ready. And that number, 800-224-9090, that's on any Saturday morning from 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. You can also watch the show on Facebook or YouTube. Many times you might have car questions and you'll go to your favorite automotive repair facility. And it's not that they don't want to help you a huge amount more, but they've got a lot of other cars on their mind at the same time, other people needing their cars repaired. And many times they don't have the time to devote to your question that needs to be devoted to. So they're just not able to help as much as they really want to.
Right.
So today's your day. You can call in, and Taylor is an expert. I've been in the field almost 2 months now. No, cutting off. I've been doing this a long time also. So together we should be able to answer your automotive questions, and we would love to. It kind of makes us feel good when we help you out there. Matter of fact, during today's show, we'll be talking a little bit about things to do with do-it-yourself projects. We'll be throwing some tips out there to things you can likely do and the things that you might not want to, not necessarily that you're not able to, but you may not have the equipment needed to do certain things or the information needed to do certain things or the time to do certain things. So because of that, we'll try to let you know how to keep from getting in trouble like I do all the time whenever I try to fix my appliances around the house. I think I always end up calling somebody every single time. We're going to lay a tech tip quiz out on the table first before we get cranked up really good. And, of course, the winner will receive a prize package that, among other items, will include the world-famous I Answered the Tech Tip Quiz shirt and or the C&C Auto Show shirt. And here is the question that we have. And Jason made up his mind that he wanted a Chevy Terrain. But when he went to the Chevy dealership, the salesperson said, you will get an Equinox. Jason said he did not want an Equinox. He wanted a Chevy Terrain. Jason will get an Equinox. He has no choice. So this is America. Why does Jason have to get an Equinox? We want to know. So if someone has the answer, call in and answer that question, and you will win that prize package and some paraphernalia to go along with it. And give us a call. And we will be going to those calls very quickly. But I wanted to ask, I wanted to congratulate Taylor on something first and ask him a little bit about how he achieved it. I hear some awesome news that you achieved some great things as far as ASE certifications.
Yes. Let me tell you, it's been a struggle. We are currently about to get a new building downtown for the school, and we're going to expand our programs to offer paint and body and heavy-duty diesel trucking offerings, and so I wanted to take it upon myself to go ahead and get certified in those. And once you get certified in 3 master areas of ASC and you have your upper level test, you're considered what they call world class. And your world class designation, not many people get that. About 20 or 30 people a year achieve that out of the over 800,000 people that work on cars in the world. So about 9 months ago, I put together a plan and just went at it. I was testing multiple times a month, multiple tests at a time. And I was able, yesterday, I passed my last 2 tests, and now I'm considered world-class certified by ASC.
World-class certified.
Yes. It has been, it's one of my bucket list items. So I went ahead and knocked it out. It's one of the things I wanted to do before I eventually retire, and put it together and got it done. So thank you very much.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I want to tell you congratulations.
Thank you
and
very
I know
much.
there will probably be listeners out there that will call in and say congratulations also. So it's awesome. You ready to go to the calls?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. I love that. And welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help you with today?
Yeah, congratulations, that guy. This 75-year-old man don't know much mechanics. Anyway, my daughter's come over here last night after she just got the 2017 Ford Escape out of the body shop. It had a wrecked the front end. Anyway, she's coming over here, and she didn't talk about it till after she got here. The check engine light come on, but it wasn't flashing. But she said she did notice coming up the big bluff, it did lose about 4 miles an hour. So I said, well, we'll look under the hood. Well, you got your ear down close, I could hear a little bit of the ticking. I said, I don't know, you might have to take it in your deal. But I said, let's check the transmission fluid. And I said, this old man's got old vehicles. There ain't no dipstick on them things for the transmission fluid?
No, they removed the dipstick because people kept messing up transmissions.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
With those transmissions, it's the transmission fluid has to be checked at a certain temperature, and because transmission fluid expands, so when it's hotter, the level's higher, and so the manufacturer's perspective is people are going to check it not at the right temperature, and they're going to over or underfill it.
Yeah, that used to be really bad.
Right, and nowadays, there's a lot of manufacturers that are going to a lifetime transmission fluid. I use quotation marks around that because I don't really believe in a lifetime fluid. But they don't recommend replacing the transmission fluid or checking it. It's just whatever's put in at the factory is whatever you're going to have until the transmission life is expended. But there are procedures to check transmission fluid because you do have to refill the transmission after leaks and things like that. So. But it's a lot of that may be outside the scope of a do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah, usually you got to use a scan.
No, I ain't gonna do that.
So in short, you don't really just add transmission fluid anymore. You perform a transmission refill procedure,
right?
and you go by. Right. There's a whole chart and a list of things that you go through. So do you think she should have that towed? We only have about a minute, but would you recommend having it towed back to the body shop because they probably had to loosen some lines at the transmission cooler, and that would have lost transmission fluid. If it felt like it was slipping, I'd almost recommend towing it.
Yes, I would call the body shop and to tell them what you got going on. They may send somebody out there to you, or they may send a rollback, but I wouldn't drive it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hey, that's a fantastic call, and we really do appreciate it.
Good luck with that.
All right. We have something awesome coming up when we come back. We have a person who bought a car online, and I'm going to let him tell you what happened. His name's Hoodooed, and he'll be calling in right after we return. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the C&C Auto Show. I'm here with Taylor Bryant, and we are taking car questions today. That's at 800-224-9090. And you can also watch the show on Facebook and YouTube. And we do have an anonymous caller. I mentioned just before we went to the last break, that we had a person who had bought a vehicle on the internet. We're going to call this person Who Dude. And Who Dude, with him buying the car, he wanted to share this. Now, I'm going to tell you in advance that I do know this person. And this person gave me a call and mentioned a few words about what he was thinking about doing. I did try to talk him out of it a little bit, but the thing is, I wasn't able to do that, and he moved forward. Now his name's Who Dude, because I don't want to reveal his real name. But all of this is absolutely true. It's not a made up, not an act, any of that type stuff. So we're gonna go over here and talk to Mr. Dude. Mr. Who Dude, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Well, thanks for asking me to be here.
Well, I know that you wanted to share something. When I called you, I was just calling to say hello. I hadn't talked to you in a while, and I knew you was interested in buying a vehicle a while back, and it was a classic car. And I said, Mr. Dude, a classic car you got to spend money on. They're going to cost you some money. And, of course, you were buying it from somewhere up north. So I said, you do have some concerns about rust. And you had said, well, I'd like for you to look it over. And I said, well, we'll look it over for you and see how it looks. But how did the car buy-in situation go for you?
It was so easy. I looked and looked. I wanted a Pontiac. I'm a Pontiac nut, and I think John DeLorean's probably the greatest car man ever in history. You know, right. and I wanted a Pontiac. I like the Grand Prix. I love the GTOs. GTOs I thought would be out of my price range. The Grand Prix, I had a 65 years ago, and they got so big in 65, and 62, they did not have the stacked headlights, so I kind of settled on finding me a 63 Grand Prix.
Uh-huh.
And I found one. I got the best deal in the world. I found one for $9,800.
Wow, that's a good price.
And absolutely, this had the tri-power. It had everything. The 389 tri-power. It was nice. And so I talked to them several times over and over and over, always by email. You know, they responded to me that way, and I responded to them that way.
Uh-huh.
And they were going to make it real easy. You know, we put the money in an escrow.
Yeah.
They were in Philadelphia. The escrow company was in New Orleans. And I looked up on online the state of New Orleans, and there was an LLC by that name registered in New Orleans. How long it'd been registered or whatever, I don't have a clue. But it was a legitimate company, so to speak.
I like where this is going.
So they sent me a bill of sale with the wiring instructions to this escrow company. And they're going to send me the car in an enclosed trailer, and I have up to 7 days to inspect it, whatever I want to. I can send it back, no charge.
Wow, that's a great deal.
But when the title, bill of sale, the manuals on the car, everything goes to the escrow company also. And of course, when we close, I say, this is good, I'm happy. They send me my books. They send him the money.
Yeah.
And so I go to the bank. I sign the papers on it. And
so you borrowed the money?
I borrowed the money. I financed this rascal because I could.
Uh-huh. Okay. And what happened after that?
And well, we wired them the money.
Okay.
And you want to know what happened after that? Nothing. Nothing. Never.
You mean Dude Day?
Never heard from him again.
Took your money. So how long did you? How long did it take after you sent them the money that you realized that something wasn't right?
I actually started feeling kind of weird. Probably within a couple of hours, but they said it was going to take 3 or 4 days to get the car down to me. So, I didn't really get sick until about 3 or 4 days.
Okay, so 3 or 4 days you were sitting there waiting on pins and needles for that car to arrive. And when did you call back and ask them where your car was?
Well, I started actually within a couple of hours of it happening. I started, emailing them, saying, "Hey, I'm here on the edge of my seat. I'm ready. Can I do anything to help speed this up?" But I knew that once everything got in the escrow company, I felt like the escrow company should have reached out to me and said, "We're holding the money, we're holding this," and nothing, never a word,
Well, dude, I'm gonna mention something if you would, because we're gonna be going to callers right after this. We got about 30 or 40 seconds, but I'm gonna get you to call back if you don't mind. I'm gonna talk you into calling back during the second hour, and we're gonna go through this a little bit closer. So at 9:15, would you mind coming back on and let's go, because I want to make sure everybody knows that this could be a problem. And, man, I am so sorry this happened to you. So I'm going to be calling you in a minute and seeing if I can get you back on. Okay?
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, we're going to talk to you shortly. And that was Who Dude. And we're going to be going right back to Roman in a few minutes. He had called earlier with an issue on a transmission. And we're going to get him back on because he had a couple of other questions and things he wanted to mention. We'll be right back after this. All right, we do welcome you back to the C&C Auto Show. During the last segment, we did talk to Who Dude on the phone. He bought the vehicle from on the internet, sent him $10,000. They never sent him the car. He wanted to warn people about doing that. Be careful where you send your money. It happens quite often. Somebody tried to do that to me one time, and
I think we've
course,
all went through it. Yeah,
I said no. I'm not not sending the money till I had the car. Right. But I had to call him back and apologize for laughing so hard. It was just he's just so funny when he tells a story like that, and he takes it well, and he really wants to help others to make sure they don't go through the same thing. Taylor, you ready to go to the calls?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. This is Roman back. And I think, Roman, let's see. Roman, what can we help you with?
Well, thank you again. I called in earlier about my daughter's 2017 checking the transmission fluid. I've been listening to the show. I haven't seen it. See, I just got older vehicles. I have a 91 Chevy pickup, and about 4 years ago we put a transmission in it. And since then, I'm retired. I'm in my mid-70s. Anyways, I only drive that thing. Well, actually, I don't drive it unless I go haul wood or if my van would break down. But so I only average maybe 5-6 miles a day, and so it's only drives like a 20-mile trip. Anyway, I took it back. The mechanic that checked it, my son-in-law changed the transmission for me, but he wouldn't put any. And the mechanic said he wouldn't put any stop leak in it. It seeps a little bit, so about maybe once a month I got to maybe put a pint of transmission fluid in it. But I got people bugging me, well, put some transmission stop leak in it. That's what I was going to question you. Would you put anything in it to stop it, or just keep adding when I need it a little bit?
Taylor, what are your thoughts?
I wouldn't. I would not. Mostly, your transmission stop leak stuff. It's a lot of that stuff is just brake fluid that swells up the seals, and that's going to really kind of mess up your clutches and everything in the transmission. On a Chevrolet truck, I mean, it's not, I don't think really, unless it's a front, a torque converter seal or something like that.
No, it's not.
Okay, so is it the pan or the shaft, the drive shaft, output shaft leaking or something, or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, those are two very fairly easy things to get to. I mean, and 9 times out of 10, stop leak's
I'm
not
not sure
it.
exactly which. I ain't sure which one it is, but anyway, he told me he'd have to take it apart to fix it. I'm sorry, I'm not a mechanic.
That's okay.
He said there's a seal leak and that they'd have to tear it apart to fix it, and it's not worth it.
Okay.
So that and my son-in-law that put it in for me, but then I got other relatives. Well, just put some stop leak in it. So that's what made me think to ask that. I thought I'd just go ahead with what I'm doing because, like I said, I don't get that many miles on. I change oil in it once a year because just to change oil in it because I don't have that many miles on it.
Yeah, I agree with Taylor. The way that works is by swelling up seals. Well, the problem is it does swell up the one that's leaking, but it also swells up everything else. And to me, if it's just a pan seal or maybe a dipstick O-ring or an output shaft seal, something like that, those can all be replaced as far as routine maintenance. Now, if it is a front converter seal or a pump seal, those are more involved. But really, if those were just leaking a little bit, and let's say you had to add a quart a year and it's not actually getting on a brand new concrete floor or something like that, and you're really concerned about the part of the fluid, you can buy a lot of transmission fluid for what it would cost to pull the transmission out and put a seal in there. So I'd just add a little bit every now and then if it was that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it ain't going to bother me because I was out in the farm. It don't even go in, but
Right. I check that trans fluid each time you do the oil change and not worry about it unless it's something that's pretty easy to replace, like an output shaft seal.
No.
Right. Yeah. Just send it.
No, I didn't ask them exactly I didn't ask them what seal it is, but they said they'd have to tear it apart to do it. So I guess
Probably
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll tell the guys that know what they're doing, I'm going to tell them I'm not doing it. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'd buy about 3 quarts of transmission fluid and just have it sitting there when you need it. Hey, man, we really do appreciate you calling too, though.
All right. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. That's great for him to call like that. He trusts us to answer his car questions.
Absolutely.
And if he gets another one, I want him to call back again.
Yeah, you got to buy one, get one free this time.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. No shipping and handling.
Right.
All right. Let's go to the next caller?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's go over to, looks like we got a gentleman named Bill, and he's in Kirksville, I believe. But either way, let's go over to Bill. Bill, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with?
Well, this is a blast from the past for good old Taylor there. I don't know if he remembers me. I'm Bill Thompson, one of his students from about 7-8 years ago.
Colonel.
A.K.A. the Colonel.
Colonel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
man.
you doing,
Good to hear
bud?
from you.
Well, congratulations. I think it's outstanding. It couldn't happen to a better person.
Thank you very much,
an outstanding instructor. And I tell everybody about my experience with the training and all the stuff you guys did on my 2 pickup trucks. In fact, good old Aaron there, I won 2 prizes because of those 2 trucks from Aaron. Gave me a $25 discount on something.
Okay.
So,
are you doing all right?
Little update. Yeah, doing fine. I'm 70 now, so I don't crawl around under stuff anymore. Actually, the Dakota, it died about 6 months ago. The engine froze, so I called up Pull Apart, and they came and they picked it up and they actually got all their parts back.
Right. Yeah, I remember that was a about every other day thing. You down there at Pull Apart getting stuff for your cars. Yep.
Exactly. And then the old the Sonoma, my dad's truck, GMC Sonoma. Right. I had a kid come over and help work on my yard, and I said he looked at that truck. The GMC, and it's 2003, and we did all that work there, the air condition and front end and all that stuff at there, and then he looked at it and said, "It's in good condition." And I said, "Yeah." So you want to trade? You do the 11 acres, and then you can have the truck. And he said, "Okay."
Wow.
Yeah.
So he fit. Yeah. So there goes the trucks. But I just wanted to congratulate you and. you guys are doing great down there. I tell people about you all the time if they're interested to go join up and sign up. And I know that big things are coming. You're getting new equipment and new buildings, right. And so that's outstanding. So
thank you very much for calling. And thank you for your well wishes.
Okay, you have a good day. Thanks, right, Aaron.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Have a fantastic day.
Bye-bye.
That was a nice call, nice thing for him to do. And just to give the listeners that may be listening to the show in different areas, Augusta Technical College has always had a great automotive department. They've kind of excelled in a lot of different ways. Well, we also have a lot of good dealerships here. We have a lot of good independents here. We have a lot of good franchise operators. And a lot of those worked in conjunction with Augusta Technical College to do some fantastic things, and they have actually purchased a dealership here in downtown Augusta, and this is a very large dealership. And I would guess that this would have to make this one of the largest automotive technical colleges in the Southeast. Has to be.
Yes. And and we put out so many good graduates. Matter of fact, I saw one last night that is one of your employees.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the baseball game and I saw Christina Glover.
Oh yeah.
I love absolutely. Her to death.
She's fantastic.
She is so good. That I saw her and we caught up last night. But we take good and make great, and we take great and make excellent. And
yes.
And so,
and that is so exciting. And
yes.
and this will be under one roof in the automotive department. They'll have automotive repair, automotive collision, and they will have. There was.
We're doing trucks, heavy duty trucks,
heavy duty trucks,
and we are going to be doing possibly motorsports. We're in talks right now doing motorsports and EV hybrid, which is actually where I'm going to be gravitating to.
And modern things such as ADAS systems
yes.
and all of these other things. And I have had the opportunity to walk around and look at some of the things that's being done. It's a beautiful sight.
Yes.
I'm so looking forward to it. We're going to have to run to a break.
Okay.
So we'll be right back after these messages. And we do welcome you back to the C&C Auto Show. I'm Aaron Clements here with co-host Taylor Bryant. And we are back on the road ready to answer your automotive questions. And if it's Saturday morning between 8 and 10, you can give us a call. That number, 800-224-9090. And you can also watch the show live on Facebook or YouTube. And we mentioned before that Taylor also has a lot of videos on YouTube. So you can pick up a lot of information. We were talking about different things that people can do themselves because we want to cover some do-it-yourself items. And we are very happy to tell everybody anything they can do themselves. And I don't want anyone to think that doing a show that you're trying to make something sound more complicated than it is in order for them not to do it themselves. Because I know a lot of people enjoy working on vehicles just like they enjoy gardening. They're not necessarily doing it. Sometimes they're not doing it to save money. They're just doing it because they're enjoying it. Other times they may be doing it to save money, which is absolutely fine. I do the same thing on my appliances. I just never fix them. That's my only issue. But we also want to mention things that if it seems that you might get in trouble on, that it's a good idea to at least know the things to look out for when you do that. So I guess one item that we can start with would be a battery. Do you think a battery is something that someone can do theirself in most cases?
I'd say probably 90% of the batteries out there you can do. The only thing really that you would get in trouble with would be the reinitialization on some of the newer cars. You have to go in there and you have to change some parameters. The alternators and everything need to actually be told that you have a new battery in some of these new cars. So adjust the charging strategy for that new battery. And, sometimes you have to reset, the idle, the throttle body. And sometimes you have to reset, the blender motors and the AC and, but as far as mechanical ability, I mean, it's normally just a few volts.
Just one of the things I'll mention is when you're changing a battery, take the negative side off first and do it kind of swiftly. Don't let that cable sit there and bounce up and down against the post, because each time you're doing that, you're sending a little electrical spikes, and it's like 250,000 volts are shooting back to little computers and modules, and those modules are going, woohoo, whoa, wow, and they don't like it. They get ticked off about that. The other thing is like you mentioned, now professional shop, they would normally use a device that would maintain battery voltage on the system while the old battery is being replaced, so they don't normally lose all that unless your system was completely dead before and you've already lost it. A professional shop maintains voltage on the system, so you get to keep your electric seats, all your radio stations are still in there, and a lot of these things that you used to have, your learned idle and all of that. But if you're changing it yourself, if you don't have something to maintain that power, then you may lose a lot of memories, items on there. But the other thing I want to mention is be sure to use one of the best batteries you can get. And if the car calls for an AGM battery, put an AGM battery back in. They are more expensive, but they last longer, and the car is designed around that. And that gives me a chance to mention that Clarios batteries are the global leader in energy storage solutions, and they power 1 in 3 of the world's vehicles today, which is kind of huge. So when you're looking for a battery, getting one made by Clarios would be a good thing, and definitely get it if you require an AGM,
right.
But consider it if you do certain things like the car's not run on a regular basis, or if you got something that's under a lot of vibration, like a side-by-side or a dirt bike or things like that. So just get the battery that's right for your vehicle.
Right, and I own 2 cars that take AGM batteries. I have a Lexus CT200H hybrid, and I have a Chevy Volt, and both of those are, if you do not put an AGM in them, they freak out.
Yeah,
so
you will have problems.
Sure. And
ready to go to?
Yep.
Ready to go to calls? Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Let's shoot over here and talk to James. James, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help with?
So, Taylor, you got the big star now with that classification there with your certifications. I've never even heard of it before. It's obviously a rare thing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just don't know what to do with myself now afterwards. But other than that, yes, please.
Well, they might have to send you home with a mug or something with a star on it. You're not a tech tip quiz winner, but you won something else. So hope you can. I'll have to see what that patch looks like some days. Maybe it's gold leafed or something that you put on your shirt.
I'll bring it in. I definitely will.
Good. So
that is a great thing.
The new training facility opening is going to be interesting too. But that's something else to look forward to.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, Aaron, you bet. I heard the tail end of a tech tip quiz out there before, and if I could hear the whole thing, I'd love to give you a wrong answer, and then I have a little do-it-yourself here and there. What do you want first?
Absolutely. Let's go with the tech tip quiz. All right, here we go.
Let me hear the whole thing.
All right, Jason made up his mind that he wanted a Chevy Terrain, but when he went to the Chevy dealership, the salesperson said that you will get an Equinox. Jason said that he did not want an Equinox. He wanted a Chevy Terrain. Jason will get an Equinox. He had no choice. This is America. Why does Jason have to get an Equinox? And what is the answer to the... Hold on. You know what I got to do.
I need sunglasses. Wait a minute.
And James, you are on stage. What is the answer to today's Tech Tip Quiz?
All right. I listened to that carefully. That's good. I'm glad you read the whole thing. I noticed that you did not say that he was not also going to receive a Terrain, which of course he can. But he is going to. And let's do a little pun on Ford here.
Uh-huh.
I don't care whether you're a Ranger or you own a Mustang in your field or a Bronco or you're a Falcon flying over the air. Here, doing pretty good so far. There's no way he's going to escape an Equinox. That's because Equinox,
that's true.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to escape the Equinox because that not only is a vehicle, it is a celestial occurrence. So the terrain he'll get, but we will all get an equinox, going to come up here in a few weeks. And that'll be when your night and day are the same length. The sun is pointing essentially directly at the equator, so we're all 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime, approximately, pretty close, there at the end of September and the end of March. So if that's a wrong answer, it's a good one.
Well, let's find out what the judges have to say about that. Oh, wow. The judges are going crazy, and you're absolutely right. It's true. Jason will have no choice but to get an equinox. He may get a terrain also, but he will have to have an equinox. And we will all get an equinox on September 23rd, and that's when the sun, like you said, is directly over the equator, and day and night are equal in length. And you, my friend, will forevermore be known as a quadruple certified, let me see, ASC Auto Show Auto Show entrance winner.
Right.
But anyway, you're a winner. You win the prize, and you're absolutely right. And we really appreciate you answering the Tech Tip quiz. And what is that DIY? We have about a minute.
Oh, man, there's so many. Well, one thing that I know really important here in the South in the sun is quick, easy one. You can do your own weather strip protection. I've really enjoyed the Blaster silicone spray because it doesn't stain anything. I take cotton swabs. After the car's been washed, I'll spray the PB Blasters silicone spray on the cotton swab and go around all those weather strips, particularly the ones that now appear at the edge of the door where it meets the body of the car. The internal ones don't get the sun, but if you keep some of that silicone on those, you'll keep them from breaking down. They'll remain pliable, and it'll also prevent some of the tacking of the weather strip material to the painted surface of the car. I've seen on cars I've bought, it's just so dry, and it gets almost a deterioration, let's say. But you don't want to do that because that stuff's expensive and hard to replace. But I've got more maybe in hour number 2 if you got room. We'll chat about them.
Yes, we do have room, and we appreciate that. And also, when we come back, we will be going over and talking with James with a Nissan, and also Ron and Ashley. And it's time for the first hour to close out, and we'll be back with more of the C&C Auto Show shortly. And we do welcome you back to the C&C Auto Show. We're having a great time, or we had a great time during the first hour.
Oh, yeah.
And we plan to have a great time during the second hour. It is just going to be fantastic. Got Taylor Bryant here with me. And Taylor, we were talking last hour about wonderful ASC certifications that Taylor recently got. And tell us just one more time the certification that you got and how many people around the world normally are able to have that.
Yeah, it's the ASC World Class Technician, and you have to have a master in automotive, heavy duty truck, and paint and body, and you have to have the advanced level engine diagnostics for gasoline and diesel. So it's 22 different qualifications, and since 1986, only 2,500 or so people have actually achieved that. So yeah, it's a kind of a big deal, and I've been working, for a long time to get that done. It's a lot of studying, and it's a lot of different areas you have to master.
And where that's a big deal for the show is right now everyone's able to take advantage of some of that knowledge to have their car questions answered. All you have to do is pick up the phone, call 800-224-9090, and that's anytime 8:05 to 10 on any Saturday morning. You give us a call, and we have 2 waiting. You want to let's go ahead and jump on them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's
All right, let's go over to this person. Let's see here. It might be James. James might have a 2019 Nissan. Let's find out. Hello, James. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help with?
Well, I have a 2019 Nissan Kicks. Got 93,000 miles on it. But once a week, the traction light on the dash lights up and blinks, and then a little light above it blinks, and I have to stop the car, put it in park, and push the traction button, and then I can go on. And then every once in a while, a yellow light will come on the front of the sensor. You have the two sides and the front sensor. A yellow light will come on, and it will say, malfunction, see owner's manual.
Okay. So you have a traction control issue. Mm-hmm. And with that, you're going to have a code stored. And that code, there's a lot of different things that could store that code. I would, wheel speed sensors are one.
Yeah, that's a big one. And it sounds almost like, when you have to pull over and stop, it sounds like maybe your traction control is prematurely activating, which can be, it's normally either, if it happens all the time, it's normally a tire size issue. One tire is like smaller or bigger than the others. But that doesn't sound like your problem. It sounds like maybe you have a wheel speed sensor issue. Now, the issue, a lot of times what I see with wheel speed sensors, especially if they're acting like this, is wheel speed sensors are magnets. And over the time driven, you'll start getting the metallic flakes in your brake pads will actually stick to that magnet. And so a lot of times you'd have to take the ABS sensor off and just kind of inspect it and clean it and put it back together. A lot of times that takes care of it. If not, it's going to take some further diagnosis to figure out what's going on.
Sometimes those magnets get hot and the plastic around them crack and the magnet's not able to sense as good. And just a 60,000 foot overview of the anti-lock brake system. In theory, it's really not that complicated. You got a sensor on each wheel that's sensing how fast each wheel's moving. And in theory, if you're going down the road straight and one wheel's not locking down, if you're going 30 miles an hour, all of them should be sending a signal that says 30 miles an hour. Well, if one stops turning and all of a sudden it's reading 2 miles an hour, 0, then that will release pressure to that brake mechanism on that side, and it will let that wheel not lock up anymore, so that you can keep control during an anti-lock brake stop. Well, sometimes the sensor can go bad and the computer looks at it and says, I know something's not correct. I know that is not really locking up because of the other wheels showing good, and that one for that length of time I've released pressure, it's still showing locked up. So something's wrong. So it cuts the light on, it disables the traction control system. Other times it looks at it and says, hey, I've got a traction control issue, and it just keeps it locked up.
Right. And also if you're having power loss, it can notice that the wheel speed sensor actually kind of works in inverse as well. So if a wheel is going faster than the other ones, that means that the engine is overpowering the traction that tire is meeting to the road. So if it's going faster, it will kill engine power. Yeah, it will kill engine power because it's trying to slow that tire down to match the rest of the tire. So your traction control works with your ABS. They work with the same sensors, but they kind of do a little bit different jobs.
Yeah, almost opposite. Yeah. And in short, the next step is for a technician to connect the computer to the system, see what trouble code is stored. And that trouble code might be, I'm throw a wild number out, P0349 or something, which is not even close to being accurate because that's not a traction control code. But it'll throw a trouble code. The technician will go to the computer and we'll look at that chart, and the chart might say, go to this sensor, check voltage here, check, do an ohms reading here, do this, do that. He or she will also go to the computer and check for service bulletins that may be out for that vehicle that might affect that. And in the end, the technician will say, this is what it's needed. It will need this sensor or this part before we can replace, before we can retest. And if you give approval, technician will put the part on, retest the system. If it shows good after that, you're good to go. But other things, they may test it and something else be there because some other problems are hidden by the first problem sometime. But that's the scenario to go with on having the car checked. So when you take it in, just say, I'd like to, are you able to check the codes on this particular system? This is what I got. They say, yeah. Just say, well, what's it cost to run the diagnostics? And then tell them to call you once they know what the issue is.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I'll take it over to John Ryan and see what he says.
Well, I know he'll do it that way then.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I do have a power loss when the light comes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's probably a
So I'll
traction
do
issue.
that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank
Yeah.
you, and we sure do appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right, number to call is 800-224-9090. When we return, we will go over to Ron and Ashlyn, and we'll talk about a mystery that they're having with airbags. And then also during the next segment, we'll be giving Hoodoo to call. We talked to Hoodoo during the first hour, and Hoodoo bought something on the internet that didn't turn out too well for him. And he bought a classic car, and it was a $63,000 Prix for at unbelievably low price. And he wants others to know the pitfalls of what could happen if you get that unbelievably low price.
Right.
And I had to call him back and apologize because I did laugh about it because I couldn't help it. But we want to make sure that don't happen to anybody else. Okay, so we will be right back with more of the C&C Auto Show after these messages. And we're back with you with the C&C Auto Show, and we are ready to roll. And I had to run into the other room because he's planning to get Hoodooed on the other line with us. And we'll be talking to Hoodoo shortly. And right now, we are going over and talking to Ron and Ashlyn, and they had a question about airbags. What can we help you with today?
It's just singular, Aaron. It's just Ron and Appling. Look, you guys were talking about, your batteries, whether you could do the job or not. If you watch your battery and make sure it doesn't get so bad that it'll leave you stranded somewhere, you can go to any of the parts places, and they'll be more than happy to exchange the battery out for you. They do a great service. I know I've had it done at O'Reilly's before, Napa.
Mm-hmm.
All of them do a great job.
Yes.
But my question that I'm calling in about is the fact that why is this great mystery that's unsolvable that here we are in the 21st century, everything on an automobile can be repaired or replaced, but the airbags. Why is that such a mystery that we can't replace airbags after they've been deployed and function as they should?
Now, I'm not sure of the question because we've replaced airbags ourselves many times. Now, of course, we do have to install new airbags because of liability reasons. I've heard of people putting a used airbag in a car, but we put new airbags in. But really, most of the items in the airbag system can be replaced. There's certain procedures to go by. For instance, if certain airbags are deployed, one manufacturer might say you also have to replace this sensor and that sensor at the same time.
Even the modules.
Then you have
sometimes.
exactly. Yeah. Years back, they used to tell you had to replace certain modules at the same time, and I'm assuming some vehicles do now also. If a wire is broken, they won't allow you to just repair any wiring. You have to replace that entire sensor. But I will tell you that the closest I can come to answering what you may be talking about is sometimes the sheer cost of replacing airbags causes a vehicle to be totaled out. For instance, it just kind of an example, you got a car that would actually sell for $10,000 and several airbags go off that would cost in the collision damage not very bad, but the replacing airbags might cost $6,000. They may total the car because of airbag deployment. So, but yes, airbags can definitely be replaced.
They're just one time.
Well, that's my, it just, oh, exactly. I understand that, but that's the crux of it, is that when we get in, buying the second most expensive thing we buy in our lives besides our homes, and it's an investment. And if we get in an accident with it, if you happen to be upside down on the loan, the car is not worth as much as you owe on it.
Right.
They're willing to total the whole vehicle out, and then you're left. I mean, you can get gap insurance and all that, but it just seems to me that it never ends with this type of technology, that it's so easy to total a vehicle out to replace these items. Why should these airbags cost that much money? I mean, it's not like this is a space shuttle part. It belongs on an automobile, and that's where I'm going with it. It's gotten ridiculous that it costs so much money to be mobile in today's society.
Yeah, and of course,
I enjoy
the
your show, guys.
Is they look at it and say, well, there's no way to put a price on safety. And so people's and no doubt prices do come down over time as things are built. But I agree that there's a lot of parts in the airbag system that are very expensive.
Yep.
Well, that's it. And that's what the ammunition they always love to use, is that you can't put a price on the human life.
Yeah.
But if we look at the advancements of where we're going, when I was a kid, you could buy a decent car for less than $500 and drive forever. A 289 Mustang would take me all over the U.S. and had. But now I've got to have a $49,000 vehicle.
That's if you got a good deal
to go to the grocery store. Oh, it's ridiculous. Well, back then in 68, 69.
No, I'm one that looks for the deals. But yeah, it definitely when you start dealing with some of the safety features on a car, that is something that collision repair industries go through heavily. Is cars get totaled a lot more often now because of electronic items that can go bad. We got about a minute, but I wanted to be able to tell you this deal when you were talking about airbags and things going off and things being for sale like that. I'll mention a parachute that was for sale. This one guy had it on Craigslist, and it said used parachute for sale, in great condition, used once, never opened.
Doesn't sound like a good deal then, does it?
Yeah, no. That was a good deal.
Right.
But yeah, that was a great question, Ron, and you're absolutely right, shedding some light on all the technology. There's good sides to the high technology that we have in today's cars. There's bad. I'm in Taylor's boat. I don't pay that much for cars. I look for great deals on used cars. And I buy my items usually after they depreciate it. But I love people that do buy new cars. I love it. I love for them to bring it by and look at it. And I'm fortunate enough to get to drive a lot of different cars. And I think I just love all the technology that I see on these vehicles.
Well, and two, it's leading us to the path of another Affordable Care Act. Instead, it's going to be the Affordable Car Act, and the federal government's going to have to start subsidizing us.
Yeah. Well,
y'all have a great weekend. Make it safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Ron's always got some great insight there. And one thing that I'll just have to say, you hadn't seen anything yet.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah.
More is coming.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we do welcome you back to the C&C Auto Show. We had our show producer in here explaining to me on how the systems work. He's constantly doing that. I always enjoy it, though. Okay, number to call, 800-224-9090. That's on any Saturday morning, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. You can also catch the show live on YouTube. And we are... I wanted to lay a tech tip quiz out on the table before we go to our next caller. And with the winner, we'll receive a C&C Auto Show shirt. And I will mention that this gentleman named So Sad, that was his name. So Sad changed his coolant. In his 2015 Land Rover, he drained the old coolant and added coolant back all the way to the top, filled it up all the way to the top. An hour later, his engine was toast. It was not toast before he did this coolant, replaced this coolant. It was toast after, an hour later, after he replaced it. What was wrong? And if you know the answer, give us the call. And you could be the winner of the C&C Auto Show Tech Tip Quiz. And, of course, you'll win the shirt and other paraphernalia to go along with it. And, Taylor, you ready for us to go to the call?
Let's go.
You know who we're going to talk to, don't you?
Yeah.
I will try not to laugh because I felt terrible laughing about this last time because it was something that's really, it's not supposed to be funny, but Who Dude just makes me laugh when I talk to him about stuff. Who Dude, are you there with us?
Well, yeah, and you laugh, but listen, I didn't walk away completely empty-handed.
Uh-huh.
I did get a payment book from the bank.
You did it again. You're making me laugh, Who Dude. Don't do that because the producer got mad with me because you, and I'll catch everybody up to what happened. You had always wanted a 63 Grand Prix, and you did see one in the paper, a great deal, unbelievable deal, 63 Grand Prix Tri-Power for $9,800. And from what I understand, you talked to the person, and he said that his mother had passed away, and she had this Tri-Power 63 Grand Prix, and it was just immaculate. And you kind of had it pictured as being in a garage with dust on it. And so you told him you wanted it. You sent $10,000 to an escrow company in Louisiana. The car was supposed to have been located at somewhere up north. And in short, about 2 hours later, you felt funny. And then 3 days later, you didn't see a car. Now, what happened when the 3 days went by and you had already sent the $10,000 to the escrow account and you already had a little bit of an unusual feeling about the deal, but 3 days went by and the car wasn't there? What did you do after that?
Well, I guess the first thing I did, I went to the bank and they checked the wire because wire fraud, of course, is a federal thing. But the money had been taken out of the wire about an hour after it got there. So
it was gone.
And they were gone. So there was, yeah.
This makes me sick to my stomach. I can't laugh. It makes me sick to my stomach. Just thinking about losing that much money, I would be hunting them down.
If you knew Who Dude, you wouldn't be able to help but laugh because he's funny about stuff like that. And Who Dude, I'll mention that I'm not sharing your name, but I appreciate you sharing this with other people because the whole idea it shouldn't be funny, but it's
definitely a warning sign.
It is to me. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that if we can prevent one person from going through what you're going through, all of this conversation will be worth it. And the fact is, if someone sees something for sale online, especially if it's just a fantastic deal, be very cautious and don't send money until you actually have an expert check this out. I would talk to different people in car clubs. I would do whatever you had to do to make sure that your money is going to somewhere that is going to be safe. Because once it's gone. Now, Hoodoo, have you talked to anybody and they say that there's any chance of getting your money back?
Well, I talked to a lady at Columbia County Sheriff, and I think I see her on TV every now and then, Rosolian Isles.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure she's one of them too, and she's out there hunting my car, but no, there's no hope. Aaron, I'm going to tell you a sad part of this. I've been looking for a car, and GTO or 63 Grand Prix.
Uh-huh.
And I have sent messages to people online that have their car advertised to over 100 cars, and I have only got response from 3 of them, and all 3 of them were scams.
Right. There's so many scams out there.
I had one lady with a GTO sent me the exact same email that the other one sent me, that her husband died last month and she's had to move in with her sister. She's turned it over to an escrow logistics company to handle it. And I told, I sent her an email back, and I called my preacher. I told him I'm going to have to become a Catholic so I can make a confession for what I said in this email.
Well, Hoodoo,
I was bad.
I was going to ask you one other thing before we run, because we're going to be talking a little bit about do-it-yourself type items. But how long will you be making the payments for the money that you sent to the people?
Oh, this thing will be paid off in 4 years. I mean, yeah. So,
so for 4 years, you're going to be sending them money, and you're going to be able to remember how you got hoodooed on this deal for 4 years. And man, I'm so sorry.
Out there with one of these cars, if there's anybody out there with one of these cars, just sit tight. You've only got 3 years and 11 months to go. I will be there. I will be there in 3 years and 11 months.
All right.
So hard.
Well, Hoodoo, I know it's a little tricky sharing information like this because it brings back pain. But I want to say thank you to all the people that it may help. And in short, people buying cars on the internet, be careful. That includes almost anything you do on the internet. But there's people out there that are more than happy to take your money. And so be careful.
If you can't see it, don't buy it.
Right.
All right, Hoodoo, I appreciate you calling in and appreciate you sharing your story. Sure, I'm sorry it happened to you. And I hope that by some chance you may be able to, they either send you your car or your money, one of the two.
Yeah, I might as well get a cup of coffee. I don't think either one of them is going to happen this morning.
Okay. All right. We appreciate it.
Good luck, man.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Good luck.
Bye-bye. Okay. Oh, man, that is so sad for something like that to happen. Everybody be careful when you do that.
Imagine.
Oh, it would be bad. The money's bad, but just knowing that you got hoodooed like that is a terrible thing. I'm going to mention the tech tip quiz one more time. So Sad changed his coolant in his 2015 Land Rover. He drained the old coolant and added coolant back to the top, the very top. So it was full. An hour later, his engine was toast. Wasn't toast before. He'd driven it 30,000 miles. Boom, no problem. All of a sudden, 1 hour after he did the coolant exchange, engine was toast. What happened? If you know the answer, give us a call. The number, 800-224-9090. And we are talking about different items that have to do with cars. I would say in most cases, people could change their air filter and cabin air filter. What do you think?
Pretty much, yeah. There's the more complicated the car, normally the more complicated the things are like this to do. So if you've got like a Honda, Toyota, Chevy Malibu, something like that, that stuff's pretty easy. You get into like the Mercedes, the Audis, the Cadillacs and stuff like that, you tend to run into more problems with just general maintenance stuff because it's more complicated of a car. So
one thing I noticed on high-end cars, rich people don't want to see their engine.
Nope.
No, they want plastic up there where it looks real pretty when you open the hood. There's nothing but big plastic.
Right.
The people who most people enjoy seeing their engine. They like to see the metal and all the injectors and all the things there. But when you get into the high-end cars, it just needs to be completely plastic across the top.
Right, and a lot of that is for noise suppression too.
Uh-huh. I never really thought about that.
Right, yeah, so it's
so they don't want to hear the engine either.
No, they don't want to hear anything in the car.
Yeah, that was just a thought.
Right.
But seriously, most cars, there's some cars, cabin airs are hard to get to. Some cars, air filters are hard to get to. But as a general rule, most cars you can. Just be careful when you change them.
Right.
And you get the right parts. Okay, we'll be right back after this. We're back with you with the C&C Auto Show. I'm Aaron Clements here with co-host Taylor Bryant, and we are back on the road ready to answer your automotive questions. Taylor, let's go on a call-a-thon. We got a lot of calls, and we will try to squeeze as many as possible in on this segment. So let's shoot over to the first, which is a gentleman that is from Greenwood, and I think he's talking about the possibility of having an answer to our question. Let's find out. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with?
Yeah, I wish to try out for your tech tip quiz.
All right, be still. Don't move a muscle or even an earlobe because we are getting ready to put you on stage. We will read the quiz really quickly. And the quiz is, so sad, changed his coolant in his 2015 Land Rover. He drained the old coolant and added coolant back all the way to the top, had it leveled off full. An hour later, his engine was toast. What went wrong? And all eyes are on you. What is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
I believe he airlocked the engine and the pump couldn't pick up and make the coolant flow.
Why wouldn't it pick up? Why wouldn't it pick it up?
Because it had air in it. A centrifugal pump will not pump with air in it.
Those are bad about it too.
They are. Yeah, what that could do, what it amounts to is if you changed or drained the coolant on a vehicle like the Land Rover, and there's many, many other vehicles like it, and I would almost lean toward more need to be bled out as not bled out.
Right.
You can introduce air into an air pocket into the system, and the air pocket will just stay in that one spot, and it will never cool off that area in the engine, and it will pretty much just melt and self-destruct in that area. So I will tell you that most technicians now use a vacuum system to fill.
Works good.
It's either you can buy them small, but they actually come in larger flushing equipment, and it creates a vacuum in the system, and then they turn another valve, and boom, fluid just rushes in and eliminates the chance of air being in the system because it will put coolant all the way through there. And but if you don't have that, most vehicles do have a bleed procedure. If you are doing that yourself, you want to make sure that you look up that bleed procedure before you do it.
Yep.
And you, my friend, are a winner. And now, what is your first name again? Sham. Okay. Well, I'm going to get you to stay on the line because what they're going to be doing is getting they'll probably need a retina scan, and then they'll also need you to send them a lock of hair so that they can get some DNA information from you. And with all of that, you will be getting the Tech Tip Quiz prize after that. And congratulations, and please be careful because some people are able to handle all the fame and all that comes with winning the Tech Tip quiz, and some don't handle it very well. We've seen some people that's had issues afterwards. So I'm going to put you on hold for a second, and he's going to be right there with you very shortly. Okay. And let me find out how to do that. Well, I tell you what, I am going over to
Sam.
hold on one second.
Hello?
I'm putting this back in there. Do it yourself, I can. Okay, we are going to go over to James. James, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
I'll move quickly because I hear you have a call-a-thon you're working on now. That's a good thing. I have a couple of do-it-yourselfers for your theme today.
I would love that. No, and you take your time because the information that you're given is very important, so everything's good. So what type items would you like to mention?
Now with cars having a single drive belt and a serpentine that's kept in place by pressure of the tensioner, from most of these applications,
From the A&D carpet.
three things. You have a 3/8-inch ratchet and the serpentine diagram, which is usually a decal someplace on a radiator cover. You can change that yourself. And if you go to a quality supplier of belts, and I know you've mentioned Gates before, I've been on their website, you can actually put your vehicle in there and it'll give you their part number so that when you go to the parts store, you know you're going to be getting the right part number. Yes. You'll get the right size, the right number of ribs, and so forth. Mm-hmm. It'll be the right belt for the car if you use the quality folks like Gates. And then you take the old belt off by releasing that tensioner, you put a new one on, and you're done really in a couple minutes. Just don't let go of that ratchet when you got that tension on there. Be steady about it. But I think that's an easy do-it-yourself, and that's one of them. And I have one more if you like.
Absolutely, I would love that. And I'm going to add one little thing to that part where you mentioned the belt. Many times people only replace the belt and they think that everything is good. But many other times, it's not a bad idea to replace that tensioner and belt together, and that would be considered a bundle repair, things that are related to that system, because over time that spring loses tension that holds that pressure on there. So I want to recommend everyone consider replacing the belt and tensioner together, which you mentioned Gates belts. They also make tensioners, and you can buy that belt and tensioner together in a bundle package. So that was a great suggestion. Okay, we're ready for the next one.
Yep. And if you're replacing your belt because it makes a noise, the noise could be either the tensioner or the idler, and I think Gates sells tensioners, idlers, power steering lines, anything pretty much related to that area. You're right. I've seen all the expanded list of things per car. Yes. So number two, if you ever find you've got some coolant on the ground or you're smelling coolant and so forth, so long as it's not a rubber hose, that K-Seal product has worked great. And it also can work great if you've got one of those occasions where you're noticing a little bit of drop in your reservoir, your overflow reservoir of your cooling system. You could be having a little bit of seepage through a head gasket. I've had occasions where the K-Seal has stopped radiator leaks. It has stopped the drawdown on coolant reservoirs. So that is a little blue bottle available at your local store. You do it the right way, lots of times that problem is gone, and I've had it work and fix a problem and drive the car for thousands of miles and for years.
Yeah, I think older sealants use things like sodium silicate to seal, and of course the bad part about that was that it would also clog up other areas, and K-Seal uses that ceramic, it uses ceramic in there to help seal, and that does not clog up other items in the system. So I feel much better on using a K-Seal product as opposed to other sealants and things that seal the system. So yes, I think both are good.
Yeah, I think you're right. It doesn't make your condition any worse. The worst thing could be is it doesn't solve the problem, but I don't think it installs other problems, which is a good thing.
Yeah, if you got things like hoses and rubber parts that need to be replaced, it's better to just replace them. But yes, that can come in good.
Won't work on them at all.
Oh, wow. Great suggestions.
Those are the two.
And we
great
do
show. Always enjoy
appreciate,
listening. Thanks to both of you.
We sure do appreciate that very much. He's always got some great ideas. Okay, time to put this one in park and park it for the week. I'm Aaron Clements here with co-host Taylor Bryant, show producer Mason Rogers, co-producer Jacob Johnson. We'd like to say thank you all that tuned in and called in to the C&C Auto Show.